Hey, this is Ryan Mallory, and we're going to talk about airline stocks today. Should you be buying airline stocks right now, or should you wait? These stocks have been getting pummeled lately. You have a huge bounce in the S&P 500 off of the March 23rd lows. Have the airline stocks been participating? No, they haven't done anything. They're still sitting at their lows. In fact, today they're making new lows. So in this video, I'm going to go through Delta, DAL, Southwest Airlines, LUV, American Airlines, AAL, United Airlines, UAL, and then I'm also going to throw in Boeing as well. Even though they're not an airline stock, they still are showing a lot of the same tendencies on their stock. It's also very depressed, and one that I'm getting a lot of questions about. So let's go ahead. We're going to jump into this right now. On the year, these stocks have been hit harder than almost any other industry. You have Delta Airlines, it's down 69% off of its highs of the year. American Airlines, 71% on the year. United Airlines, it's down 78%. Southwest is over 60%. Boeing's down 73% off of the March 2019 highs. That's some crazy numbers that we're talking about here. So everybody's getting interested in these things. They're saying, man, it's cheap. It's cheaper than it's ever been. I want to get in on this because I want to make a lot of money because airlines are going to come back. But you have the CEO of Boeing right now talking about there's probably going to be some major airliners that go bankrupt. They won't even see 25% bookings for a very long time, and that it may take over 5 years for it to come back. Do you have that kind of timeline? Do you have that kind of patience to wait for your stocks to come back? And what if you're not getting in at the bottom? What if it keeps going lower and lower? Let's say it drops another 50% from here. And yes, that's possible. Look how far it's already dropped. A move for Delta Airlines going from $20 down to $10 is still very feasible. And are you going to be able to handle a 50% pullback? Let's go ahead and let's jump into all these charts right now. I'm ready to get after it. Take a look at this Delta Airlines stock. From 2017 all the way up until 2020, it didn't do anything. It just traded sideways. It was just a very, very choppy stock. It wasn't until the COVID-19 came that this thing just completely fell apart. You have a major descending triangle pattern that was confirmed today. It broke below the 5-4 lows of 2050, and it's just been going lower ever since. That's not a good sign. You don't want descending triangle patterns, which is traditionally a bearish chart pattern, to be confirmed at the lows, because that means there's lower prices to come than what it's seen already. So let's take a hard pass on the Delta stock. Let's take a look at American Airlines, AAL. It didn't take COVID to cause this thing to be in a downtrend. It's been in a downtrend since late 2017, and it's just been consistently moving lower with lower highs and lower lows. It's not a good chart. It wasn't until the COVID came around that it fell completely off the side of the cliff. So like Delta, you have a descending triangle pattern here. It didn't confirm like Delta did, but it's very close to confirming. And if Delta's any indication, this thing's going lower too. But then you say, well, Ryan, it's at $9 a share. It's got to go up at some point. Hey, maybe it is a bottom, okay? I never discount what the market could possibly do. The market's always throwing curveballs at you, right? However, I'm concerned more about the risk and reward on the trade. You take American Airlines, it's trading at $9 a share. What is to keep it from going down to $6 and you're all of a sudden 33% out? And it could do it very, very fast. We've seen some huge, drastic sell-offs in the airline industry. Now to the upside, sure, it could go up to $16, it could go up to $20 at some point. Maybe they get bailed out. However, there's huge risk here. Now let's take a look at United Airlines. The Trump presidency has been very bullish up until the last couple months. United Airlines really hasn't been part of it. 2019 was a raging bull market. What did it do? It did nothing. It just traded sideways, a lot of chop, just like the others. COVID comes along, boom, it gets knocked down. 78% off of its highs. On the daily chart, we've got new closing lows. It's not breaking the intraday lows from back in March, but it is a new low in its closing price. It's got all the moving averages above it. Those are going to press down on the stock price. Take a look at the weekly chart. Does that really look like something that's ready to bottom out? No. If anything, it shows that there may be more downside to come. It's taking the next leg lower. People get excited about these stocks and hoping that they can catch the bottom. They see these big candles on the weekly chart, like on UAL, where you've had some major rallies where it rallies almost 50% in a week. That doesn't mean it's worth buying at this point. And you can see so far, it's given up every one of those rallies. It's given up multiple 50% rallies on a weekly basis. That's not a good sign of a stock that's healthy or ready to bottom out yet. And the stock that has held up the best, relatively speaking, versus the other airline stocks, LUV, is the one that's getting hammered the most right now. This looks atrocious. New lows, it's trending lower. We're not even talking about descending triangles at this point. Its descending triangle was confirmed a couple weeks ago, and now you're just making new lows. It's not bouncing. Again, let's look at the weekly chart. Weekly chart, it's just in a free fall. Are you going to catch a falling knife? No, you don't want to catch a falling knife. What happens? You think you're hitting the bottom and it just slices you up to pieces. You can't catch a falling knife consistently. People try to say that they're good at it, that they know how to do it. You can't. You're going to hurt your portfolio in a big ways. I don't try to do this stuff. Let somebody else do it. The market's not for heroes, okay? If you want to be a hero, go rescue a cat out of a tree. the heroes in the market get beat up, okay? It's better to be cautious in the market. It's better to let somebody else try to take the nosedive into buying the dip. On LUV, you don't need to be the hero here. Let somebody else try that stuff. Let somebody else lose their capital. This looks horrible. It's absolutely awful. Take the monthly chart. Monthly chart doesn't look any better. In fact, the monthly chart looks worse. This thing could even go even further. We might see 2008, 2009 lows down into like $13, $14 area, guys. That's a huge sell-off still that could still happen in the stock. BA, this was a stock that was one of the most promising stocks out there. It breaks my heart to see what's going on here because they've had their share of problems. You throw COVID-19 on top of it, it makes it even worse. This is the monthly chart. You take Boeing's rising trend line going all the way back to 1984, there is the potential for a move all the way down into the 60s or 70s on this stock. Yeah, it would be awful. I don't even want to know what that would look like for the company itself, but if you're just looking at it from a long-term trend line, this stock has a tendency to come back to its trend line over time. There's a good chance that you see 60s or 70s in Boeing at some point in the future. Again, like the airline stocks, Boeing is working with a descending triangle pattern here. It's not quite broken it yet, very close to doing it. 120 is going to be key support for this stock. If that breaks, you're going to see a retest of the March lows. I don't like this stock either. I think this is a stock that is really getting hammered by the headline risk. There's a lot more at play than just COVID. You have the production issues that have been going on for a long time now. There's a lot of problems with this stock. The headline risk is extreme. I won't touch it. I put it on my do not trade list, won't even consider it. So with all that said, is there any airline stocks that's worth playing? Not really. I think there's a lot of opportunities out there that doesn't revolve around the cruise lines, that doesn't revolve around the airlines, that you can make money from. You don't have to get into the worst hit sectors in order to make money in the stock market. And now we've seen over the past few days where the stock market's showing signs of getting weak again, where the prospects for a V-shaped recovery is kind of getting bleak. So if that's the case, do you really want to be jumping in a very overbought market and the stocks like Boeing or the cruise lines or the airlines? Do you want to get into any of these? No, I don't want to. The best looking airline stock I could probably find, and I still don't even think it's that good, is Hawaiian Holdings. I don't even like the stock, but at least they bounced a little bit with the recent market rally. Not much. It was at $7.50, now it's at $11.50, but it was trading as much as like $29, $30 just a couple months ago. At least it has a few higher highs and higher lows, but it could be a bear flag very easily. I think this one could still break lower and still retest the March lows again, just like its competitors have done. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Ryan, I've clicked on this video hoping that you give me this really good airline stock to buy. I'm being honest with you guys. I've looked through the entire industry. I can't find anything. There's really none out there. They're really atrocious. Like I've said in all my other videos, and I'm gonna say it again here, making money in the stock market is not buying the stocks that are getting hit the worst, especially in a recession. It's about managing the risk. And if you're not managing the risk in all types of market environments, you're going to jump into a stock like a Boeing, or you're going to jump into a stock like Delta, and you're going to get hammered for it. In the end, and especially in these kinds of environments, your number one goal is to preserve your capital and to preserve your profits. Don't take steps back. Don't go into massive drawdowns. Preserve the profits and live to trade another day. And if you do that, you're going to be just fine. If you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. I put effort into it every week to try to give you some great content to help you answer the most complex of questions, what you might be on your mind each and every week. If you have a question, put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Maybe I'll be able to make a video out of it. Tell me also, what kind of stocks are you in right now as it pertains to the airline stocks? Are you long? Are you short them? Are you just like avoiding them all together like I am? I want to know. Tell me in the comments below. Thank you. God bless.